Let's rotate some axes. To rotate x comma y by theta degrees to x prime y prime, we're going to set up this system of equations. These are worth memorizing. X prime cosine minus y prime sine, x prime sine plus y prime cosine. So if we're going to rotate this equation by 45 degrees, x equals x prime cosine minus y prime sine, which is, in this case, we have 45 degrees, so that's square root of 2 over 2. And y is x prime sine plus y prime cosine. So this is x prime square root of 2 over 2 plus y prime square root of 2 over 2. And now we substitute these in for x and y. So this is going to be x prime square root of 2 over 2 minus y prime square root of 2 over 2 squared plus x prime square root of 2 over 2 plus y prime square root of 2 over 2 squared minus 16 equals 0. Okay, I'm going to factor out the square root of 2 over 2's in both of these. It's going to be pretty annoying to do that, so I'm factoring out square root of 2 over 2 squared, and then we have x prime minus y prime, plus, again, this has square root of 2 over 2 squared, times x prime plus y prime minus 16 equals 0. Simplifying this is 1/2. Oh, those are supposed to both be squared. So x prime squared minus 2x prime y prime plus y prime squared plus, well, this is going to be 1/2 times x prime squared plus 2x prime y prime plus y prime squared minus 16 equals 0. So I'm just expanding this by multiplying it out. Let's get rid of these 1/2s by multiplying everything by 2. And when we multiply everything by 2, we get x prime squared 2x prime y prime negative y prime squared plus, get rid of the parentheses, x prime squared plus 2x prime y prime plus y prime squared minus 32 equals 0. And now we can combine like terms. So we have those two add to 0. These two add to 0. What we're left with is 4x prime y prime minus 32 equals 0. Now, to make things clean, it's typically appropriate to divide out any common factor. So both of these are divided by 4. So I'm going to leave my answer as x prime y prime minus 8 equals 0. Let's rotate this by 60 degrees. So this is going to be a little harder because 60 degrees is a more annoying angle to rotate by. X equals, so it's x prime cosine minus y prime sine. Cosine of 60 is 1/2. Sine of 60 is square root of 3 over 2. And now for y, it's y prime, x prime, keep writing y prime first, x prime sine 60 plus y prime cosine 60, which is x prime times sine of 60 is square root of 3 over 2. Cosine of 60 is y prime over 2. And now we substitute these in. Now this is going to take up a bit more space, so I'm going to take this and move it to the side just to remind myself of what I'm doing, but I definitely will need a lot of space for a rotation problem with this much stuff. So x is x prime over 2 minus y prime squared 3 over 2. X was the same thing. Y we now need to substitute in. Minus, this is 11 times y squared equals 64. I added 64 to both sides. Now all of these, you can see over here, these were both divided by 1/2, these were both divided by 1/2. That's going to typically happen when we're dealing with 60 degrees or 30 degrees or 45 degrees, which is what we'll mostly be rotating by. So we can factor out that 1/2 squared. So this will be much easier to deal with. Just it will look cleaner. This is 10 squared 3 times 1/2 squared times x prime minus y prime squared 3 x prime squared 3 plus y prime squared 3. I'm sorry, just normal y prime. And then minus 11 times 1/2 squared x prime squared 3 plus y prime squared equals 64. If we get rid of those 1/2 squareds, that'll be by multiplying the whole thing by 4. So I'm going to multiply everything by 4, and that will cancel out all the 1/2 squareds. Yes, this is a lot of writing. Negative x prime minus y prime squared of 3 squared minus 10 squared 3 x prime minus y prime squared 3 x prime squared 3 plus y prime minus 11 times x prime squared 3 plus y prime squared equals, and now we multiplied everything else by 4, so we also have to multiply the 64 by 4, and that will become 256. Now we can start using our multiplication rules. So this multiplies out to x prime squared minus 2x prime y prime squared 3 plus, when we square this, we get 3 y prime squared. 10 squared 3 times. When we multiply these out, we get square root of 3 x prime squared. We're going to have negative 3 plus 1, which is negative 2 x prime y prime. Y prime squared is 3, and y prime is negative y prime squared square root of 3 minus, we need more space, 11 times 3 x prime squared plus 2 x prime y prime square root of 3 plus y prime squared equals 256. Distributing that negative, plus 2x prime y prime square root of 3 minus 3y prime squared minus, this becomes 30 x prime squared minus 20 square root of 3 x prime y prime. Distributing 10 squared, negative 10 square root of 3 becomes positive 30 y prime squared. Now we're distributing negative 11, negative 33 x prime squared, negative 22 square root of 3 x prime y prime, minus 11 y prime squared equals 256. Almost done. Now we're at the easy part where we can combine like terms. So we have x prime squared, we have these. So we have negative 1, negative 30, and negative 33. Those add up to negative 64 x prime squared. We have positive 2, positive 20, and negative 22, all square roots of 3. And those all cancel, because 20 plus 2 is 22, minus 22 is 0. And we have negative 3, positive 30, negative 11. Those add up to 16 y prime squared equals 256. And now typically we'll divide out by a common factor. They're all divided by 16. So this leaves us with negative 4 x prime squared plus y prime squared equals 16. And there is our rotated equation.